public was supposed to get 30 days before the committee hearing to give input on the policy. The policy was posted on SFPD's website on a Friday for a hearing the following Monday. So part of the reason, and you'll notice a lot of people called into the hearing last week, and the clerk had to say, I'm sorry, you can't give public comment on this. And the reason is because that public comment is supposed to happen in committees. But it didn't happen here because the policy wasn't put out publicly like it's required to be under state law. So I think, so we are asking the Board of Supervisors tomorrow to get at least a majority to agree to send this back to committee so the public can have input, and then hopefully it will die there, would be my preference. Yep.
Shut it down!
One more follow-up.
A follow-up, yes.
Yeah, just a follow-up to how the issue even came to be. It's my understanding that it was a California law that took effect recently that has kind of law enforcement do an inventory and define the boundaries of the military equipment.
The follow-up question is, why is this even before us? Her understanding that there's a state law that required this, and we have a number of the speakers who have far more expertise in the state law, so I'll let any of our speakers who want to respond supplement what I'm about to say, but that is correct. There's a state law that was passed. Our city attorney, when he was Assembly Member David Chu, was the author of that law, and it requires for this military equipment that comes from the military nationally to local police departments that there be an accounting of what equipment they have and the policies that govern the use. That policy from SFPD was brought to the Board of Supervisors and now comes to us. Before this state law, these things didn't even come to the Board of Supervisors or local city councils. I want to highlight that, like, other cities have looked at this and other states have looked at these issues and rejected this kind of technology. And just across the bay, we had a speaker from Anti-Police Terror Project here who does a lot of work in Oakland. And I just want to highlight the Oakland City Council rejected exactly this recently. And San Francisco should do.
State law is AB 481, which requires every city and county and state law enforcement agency in the state to submit, yes, an inventory of all types of militarized equipment, not only equipment that comes from the Pentagon, but the equipment that gets purchased or got in a grant. It includes assault rifles, it includes armored vehicles, as James talked about, it includes less lethal, like tear gas and impact projectiles, it includes robots, it includes drones, and there is no other city or county in the state. We have been reviewing these policies. There's no other jurisdiction in the state that has authorized the lethal use of robots. As he said, in Oakland, there was a proposal by the department to allow robots to use lethal shotguns against people, and it was protested and pulled back. This law does require reporting on all of these things. This is why we're concerned that the department withdrew 375 assault rifles that it has in its arsenal, but it are now invisible to policy and to reporting. There are many other questions, as Supervisor Ronan said, about this policy. For example, there are not even the number of robots in the SFPD's arsenal are listed. So you don't know how many of which model it possesses, and therefore how many of them might be converted in some improvised way into killer robots. There are many problems. They're all part of that context that James Birch talked about of militarized policing that is going after the people who are always targeted by this type of policing. It's just now more militarized.
What might that look like when we would see that? Let me say this: the people of San Francisco ultimately have decision-making power over these kind of issues if it comes to that. But I want to take this one step at a time. We should not have to go to the ballot and expend the time and the resources to reject killer robots in San Francisco. I mean, I can't believe I even have to say it. But I will say this. There will be a vote tomorrow. I sincerely hope my colleagues change their vote from last week. and that we make this the issue of a ballot measure moot. But certainly, if this Board of Supervisors adopts a policy that gives the green light to the San Francisco Police Department to use robots to kill people, I would certainly hope that there will be a very active conversation with my office and advocates about the possibility of overturning that kind of decision at the ballot. But let's hope we don't get there. What the vote will be tomorrow. And one of the things we've been encouraging folks to do is let our colleagues on the board know what you think of their vote, whether you liked it or didn't like it. I will say this about last week's vote. So it was an 8-3 vote. So some people might look at that and say, oh, it's a done deal, right? It's not a situation like 6-5 or something. But I just want to note that 3 of the people who voted for the this policy expressed very serious concerns at the hearing. One of them expressed what sounded like opposition to allowing killer robots in San Francisco. 2 others expressed a desire for this to go back to committee. Now, they ended up voting for the policy last week, but I certainly think there is a very realistic possibility that they view it differently tomorrow. And you know, I've worked on a lot of issues on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. I cannot think of an issue that I have worked on where there has been such unanimity among all of the people providing input, not just to me, but to all members of the Board of Supervisors, condemning this and demanding that we do not arm robots to kill in San Francisco. So I think that this is an unusual situation where it is my hope, and I'm cautiously optimistic, that 1 or more supervisors will change their vote tomorrow and at minimum send this back to committee.
All right, thank you so much. I think I'm going to go ahead and close this out.